On Sunday morning before we left, we decided to come down to the beach. We took that long trail from the hill all the way down here. It had rained the night before, so this dry sand now, it was damp. And I was the first one down and saw two sets of tracks leading up this way. They were deep, the heel part was deep. There were 4 big toes that were about this big. Nothing I knew had feet like that, and it was sort of eerie, very interesting. And so we all came down and did the filming and the talking and the dry pictures, and then we decided we were going to try to figure out what they were.
After we had left the beach overnight, it rained. So the reason I mention that is because I believe there was a smooth pallet on the beach. All the previous existing footprints or whatever else was on the beach were washed by the rain. The following morning, on Sunday morning of June 6, 2006, some of us decided to walk down to the beach before we left. Diane was on my left, and she walked down a little bit ahead of me, and as we got down to the beach, she looked down. I'm not sure exactly where we saw the first print. She said, "Look," and I went, "Oh my gosh." And my first initial impression was, this is unusual. It's very odd. I have never seen anything like this before. It was very wide print and short in comparison to how wide it was. Some of my next impressions were that it was very unusual that the heel was more indented than the toes, or the front part of the foot.
The pressure is right here.
Heavy.
And not as much here.
Stocky. So because of that, I had the thought, could it have been an inverted knee, or like this, like a flamingo?
This is my memory of what happened. It was late Sunday morning, and we came down to say goodbye to the water and the beautiful scenery. And as we were walking down, there were several people ahead of me, and they mentioned some tracks, and I glanced over. It was to my left and on an angle coming out of the water. It had rained, the sand was all pitted, but there was no rain in the center of the tracks. And the tracks were probably, in my estimation, about 3 feet between the stride. A very round heel print dug deeply into the sand, 4 digits for toes with sand mounding in between them. And there were no toenails. And there were 2 sets of tracks coming up towards the shoreline on an angle. One individual was further ahead than the other, but they walked side by side, and they got up as far as the reeds, and the tracks just disappeared.
So on the evening of June 5th of 2006, myself and 3 friends of mine went down to the fire pit near the shore, and I was busy stargazing, star watching, and one of my friends, I believe, felt uneasy.
The night before we saw the footprints, we were on the beach. We had a bonfire, and there were about 4 of us down there visiting and talking and laughing, and I had this very uncomfortable feeling. It's something I've had before, but my thought was, we need to pack this up and get off the beach. And I said something to the others, and we doused the fire, packed up all of our chairs, and left the beach right away.
I was having trouble folding my chair up, and the third person was a ways up. At that point, I felt a little bit uneasy myself at being down still on the shoreline by myself.
So the next morning when we got down there and we saw the footprints, I kind of felt that's what I was feeling, or those guys that were, whoever they were out watching us. And being uncomfortable, it wasn't a good thing to stay there. so we all went back up to the cabin. We're at the Heckrod Nature Center in Menasha, Wisconsin, and we brought the footprints here the end of March of 2007 to see if they look like anything else that they might have here, because they do have footprints here, and we didn't see anything that looked like them. And here's a bobcat footprint. There's also a mountain lion right here, and their print is similar to this. You can see the pad of the foot and how the shape of it is, and you can see that they do have 4 toes.
I have researched on the internet, and I have looked up giant tortoises, and that is the most similar print that I've been able to find. As far as land animal, no, I have never seen anything like this. Some people want to compare it to a bear print, and no, it's not similar to a bear print. I know what a bear print looks like. It has pads on its foot, and it has claws. This looked completely different from that. It did not have the pads on the footprint like a bear would have. I was along when we went to Heckrod Wetland Preserve in Menasha, and the people over there stated that it was something that they had never seen before.
We also showed them to a lady who was working in the office, and she thought they looked interesting. I know we did take them to the DNR around the same time, somewhere around the end of March, and the man at the DNR and several other people there looked at those footprints, and they came to the conclusion that they are not animal prints. They weren't sure what they were.